PTSD, social attention. In this analysis, very little can effectively be accomplished socially by broad strokes of law or morality in our present modern state of human condition. This is to say, money can be taxed and spent, laws can be passed, persons may suffer, and criminals may be punished. But while all these are real functions with real consequences, none can be pointed to as solving any real societal problems going forward. They can only affect narrow individual issues. The trickle-down concept that helping a few will in turn benefit many is not impossible tangentially, but no undefined result is predictable for all persons uniformly. The truth of this is now, and for the whole century thus far, has been fully recognized, and even so completely ignored by those tasked with passing and enforcing laws to keep the peace. By accepting the dysfunctional status quo as inevitable, it is assumed human temperaments and differences are so impenetrable, so irreconcilable, that no effort is spent in trying to find equitability in civic life. All persons are affixed to a scale: rich, middle class, poor, good, better, best, yes, no, hell no. Thinking thus, there is no chance to perceive their uniform luminous aspect, equality of ability and purpose, so that barriers are purposely but unnecessarily attached to so many persons' path of their own existence. There is no question that dominant culture is in a nosedive decline, and the state has been prevented from the function of a healthy nation and degenerated to mere series of factions bidding for power and position to broker our collective wealth and productivity. New technology has made every measure of power shift downward to the extent that every person has a multiplied opportunity for advancement over the previous generation if they are able to break out of the old track. As power shifts from one group to another, confusion naturally results. The greater part of this confusion is felt by the force in ascent for a number of reasons, but those losing the power are immediately aware of the loss, at least, if unclear as to the cause or the result. Power seems to run with money, but as circumstances part the two, it is never certain where the changes will fall to, or certain who will pick up the power, or certain how it will all pan out. Money will inevitably distort the status quo, perhaps for a very long time, as power levels its new recipients, whose intent must rise to power's new capacity. The failure of political cell group candidates' ability or capacity to come to grips with #Black Lives Matter as a political concept rather than a platitude or a homily is indicative of the polarized confusion from the power draining away from the national political leadership with each passing election season. For a partisan office holder to state in a speech that Black Lives Matter without a qualifying predicate is impossible in this crazy bipolar culture. That phrase, uttered as a standalone constant, implies that some unspecified, and probably white, lives then must matter less. The terms of service for successful participation within dominant culture, particularly politically, demand a quid pro quo for every assignment of favor. One directly costs another by the system's reckoning. So thus, no person is seen as a person in dominant culture's politics, but only as an extension of a specific interest or interests vying for power by portioning out money in favors. While the government and its intended economy is in the ascent, the normal persons are mainly harassed by poverty and injustice. Money is a fine tool to persuade persons to work at some arbitrary thing as their best interests. But now that power is flowing away from the past structures in torrents, the net value of the same money inversely diminishes in its influence. So today it does not have the past power to cause persons to work against their own collective interests as it had in decades past. This trend will not change without radical change in governance in the United States. The evidence is in social media here and in the leveling influence of the World Wide Web in developing the minds and opportunities of and the next generation of children everywhere.
Listen to your woman, but not closely.